Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today we've got a rut report from Craig Steele of Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters. Craig, what are you seeing out there in the field as far as elk goes?
The bulls are starting to bugle. They've been bugling here for probably about, at least from what I heard, probably a week and a half. First bull I saw bugle was about August 31st, September 1st, somewhere in there, which is, for those of us that have hunted elk longer than the last 5 years, is what kind of typical rut date, kind of on par with what you normally have in a good wet monsoon year in Arizona or the Southwest.
Now, you've been looking, Craig, primarily in Unit 10 in Arizona. Is that correct?
Yeah, Unit 10. I've been primarily in Unit 10, but I've been in other units as well, but primarily in Unit 10.
How is the country itself looking in Unit 10 across the board? Is it real good everywhere? Is it spotty? What are you seeing?
We had a really good July monsoon season. It really kicked off well in July, and we had really above average precipitation, 2 to 3 inches. Feed really came on fast and quick, filled a lot of tanks. Going into August, it dried out quite a bit, which is a little bit unusual. Some of the places, the grandma grass is stunted because it started really good and it's already cured out and burned out. And then in other places, you've got yellow flowers and probably 6 to 12 inch grandma grass. And it looks good. Much of the feed is already cured out because of the early start date. And also because of the, abnormally amount of sun days that we had in August. So
did it burn up? Did it burn up a little bit, Craig? Meaning that, I've seen it where the grass is still kind of green and not cured. Did it kind of fry out a little bit?
It did kind of, some spots it did, some spots it didn't. Some spots it did. But what I think is happening is there's an absorbent amount of elk in some areas of which are greener than others, or in areas where they like to rut historically because they got there early. And I think that the early feed really helped those cows basically build up, what they had the nutrients and whatnot to build up those fat reserves and everything to support those calves. And I think, some of the cows are starting to cycle. It's, how it is, that everybody's getting excited and, oh yeah, the rut's on, but there's going to be hills and valleys in that,
Yeah.
It's not, and it's going to slowly trend up, and probably by September 22nd, it's going to be cranking like we haven't seen in, probably 5-10 years.
You have always said that on years in Unit 10, when there's yellow flowers, it's usually a good rut year. Would you say that this is definitely, your prediction is it's going to be, they're going to rip it up pretty good?
Yeah. It's the best year since, that I've seen yellow flowers since probably 2010.
Really?
Yeah. As far as,
and then before that was what, 05? 05 was probably the last time that it was 05, and then 10, and then this year?
05 was unreal. That was the bomb year. But yeah, I mean, the dry August really kind of, I was interested to see how that was going to go. But it seems like the elk are in great shape, and last night I heard 4 or 5 bulls start right, probably 30 minutes before sunset, start ripping a little bit. I don't think all the big bulls have got in. I don't think all the cows are cycling. I've seen, some herds of 100, 200 cows. So they haven't
without bulls jostling around in them too much?
No, there's bulls jostling around in them. They just haven't broke off their little, 7, 10 cows type deal,
Right. Okay. What are you seeing as far as antler growth, compared to other years in 10? What are you seeing?
It's better than it's been in 5 years.
The back ends, top end looking good? Fourth and fifth?
Top ends are looking, if they got good fronts, if they can have a good top end, if they're just not genetically deficient in the back end, they're going to have a good back end probably.
Okay.
Is what I'm seeing,
With Unit 10 going back to 100 bull tags on the archery hunt, so sounds like you're thinking rut's going to be good, antler growth is going to be good. The question I would have is, has it, this is the first year they dropped the tags. How many years do you think it would take leaving it at 100 tags for us to see the Unit 10 of old?
I think it's going to take probably, at least 5 years,
Yeah.
To where you got 370 bulls running around that are pretty common,
Right.
The hunt experience is going to be out of this world this year, but you're going to need, you'd be stupid unless you 370 bull is going to be a top 10% bull kill,
Yeah. Craig, you guys have had an unbelievable year with antelope, shooting that big auction tag buck with Bob Grego and chasing him around as much as you guys did with your bow, and then coming down to the last day where you had to get her done. You shot it with the rifle, big giant buck, and then you guys rolled right into the general seasons and had some success. Can you talk a little bit about the bucks, how the hunt was this year, and your success, your hunter success?
Bob's buck was a giant buck, but going into the general hunts, it was tough. Unit 10's, if you got a lot of bonus points, I would stay away from Unit 10. Last year there were some really big bucks killed, but it's highly competitive in some of the open plains areas. And then, it's hard to find a buck that was a solid 82-inch buck. Most of the bucks that we saw were low 70s, and, top 10% of the bucks that we saw were 78 to 81. There's a lot of tags in Unit 10, but they need to cut them. They got too many. It's starting to catch up. There's a lot of coyotes. There's a lot of predator hunting that needs to go on. So
are you seeing the actual antelope numbers decline, or are you just seeing the quality of bucks decline? Because don't they have 100 antelope tags in there?
They have 100 rifle antelope tags, and when you can go and count 21 coyotes in less than 12 hours, and about 16 of them are full-grown coyotes, and you see a handful of fawns and hundreds of antelope, you've got problems. And that's the problems that we have, and if they don't cut them, they're going to ruin it. And antelope can rebound a lot quicker than elk, so if they cut the tags in 2-3 years, you can, and I'm not saying there's not going to be big bucks killed, but it's starting to catch up, and it's the hunt experience. I got pretty lucky, and we found a buck that my guy took the morning before the hunt. We found him the morning before the hunt. The buck would have been over 85 and change. He had a broken prong and a little chip, but he was still 82 inches, and it was the best buck I saw, unbroke or broke. And my hunter was tickle pink with him, and then Lee killed a big buck, really wide and framey buck with Mike Miller over 19B. That unit's just really cut up and hard to access, and there's there's some big bucks in there, but it's really hard to access, and A couple of people, had access to some private land. They killed some really big bucks in there, but if you don't have the access in there, it can be really tough to kill big bucks. So antelope hunting, it's grueling in Arizona. There's a lot of access issues, and a place like Unit 10, I think they pound the tags in here because they can't in other places, and it's starting to show up. It's really starting to show up, with the trophy quality in Unit 10, which is unfortunate,
For guys going into this, let's switch back over to elk. For guys going into this archery elk season here, going to kick off, I guess, this Friday, right?
Yeah, this Friday. Yep.
This Friday. What advice do you have guys, either with 10 tags or, some of those northern units on the year that you've seen, any last-minute strategies that you would tell someone out there that has a tag to make sure to focus on, or any tips?
I mean, I really think, guys are getting pretty excited about the rut and everything. I think guys are going to be pretty gung-ho, and then by Sunday we're going to see that Sunday lull, and you're going to see some guys with some frowns and the rut's not going that good, and then I think the rut's going to really, start ramping up about Tuesday, Wednesday of the first week, and I think it's going to be consistent. Depending on what area you're hunting in, 350 is a great bull, like Unit 10, Unit 8, 7 West, a 350 plus is a great bull. A 370 is going to be a giant for those areas, and, there's going to be a few 380, 390s, maybe even one that grosses 400, but unless, you got Unit 9 or one of the other premium units, you seriously should, think about, basically when you're in the field and what size animals you want to take. 350 still a big ass bull, especially if you have not, even killed a bull with your bow, So that's
right.
That's
We've talked before. You and I have had discussions where guys have waited a long time to get the tag, and in their mind they play it up that they deserve a bull over 350, or that they're entitled to a bull over 350, or that anything less than that is, undeserving of that tag. And we've talked about that, if you're out there and you haven't killed a bull with your bow, don't have such high expectations. Don't write a check that your hunting skills can't back up. If you're a great hunter, then great, go down to the wire and try and kill a big giant bull. But don't get to the end of the hunt wishing you'd have shot that 350 bull or 340 bull or 330 bull. You've got to, don't you think, Craig, you have to kind of take inventory or be self-aware of your own abilities and your time constraints. If you've got the whole hunt, great. If you've scouted all summer, great. But, if you're not in shape, you haven't been shooting your bow, you've got to be realistic.
Yeah, the bottom line is, if you haven't killed crap with a bow, you're not a proficient bow hunter yet. And it's not, there's not a menu that says, even if we do inventory, that's 320, 340, 350, 360, 380. It's bow hunting. And bow hunting, failure is the norm. And, it's not a rifle hunt. And crap goes bad. So if you'd be happy and you've never killed anything, or you killed just a small bull, if you'd be happy with a freaking 350 bull and you've got the opportunity, I would tell you to take that opportunity, because probably about 10% of the hunters do all the killing with the bows, and about 90% of them always put in for bows with wild expectations because they can rut hunt and everything like that. And even if they go with a guide, you still have to be proficient with your bow. You have to be able to be quiet. You have to be able to close the gap without your guide holding your hand, and because that guide can't do everything for you. And if you're a DIY guy, you're doing that stuff all on your own. If you're proficient, you're probably already taking a 350, 360 plus bull. But if you're not, you need to be self-aware of, what your abilities are. And I think that's a huge term that a lot of guys just aren't self-aware. They just see pictures. They see everybody on social, on Instagram and whatnot, posting all these big bulls, and they see video of them. They're like, well, I got a bull tag in Unit 10 and this and this, and I'm going to kill I've been seeing these big bulls, and I got these big bulls on trail camera, and it's like seeing them on trail camera, seeing them on Instagram is a lot different. You don't hear the true numbers of what some of these big outfitters actually do take, which is about 10% of the hunters actually take a big bull. And that's the truth.
That's well said. Well, buddy, I know you need to get back to scouting. I appreciate you telling us what you're seeing out there. I want to encourage everyone to check out Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters on Instagram, on Facebook, exclusivepursuitoutfitters.com. You can also follow Craig Steele AZ on Instagram. Craig, get after him this season. Look forward to chatting with you during the season.
All right, man. Make sure you guys have fun.
Okay, buddy.
All right, man. Later.